7 things that a narcissist does not want you to know, and one of the first of these is that they have a very fragile self-esteem. They come across with that charismatic charm and full of confidence, which is actually their arrogance. They can be very self-assured and very convincing in the lies that they tell to those around them. And this is because they heavily depend on external validation from others, which is usually shown when they get any sort of perceived criticism, which triggers their defense mechanism, and they go all out to attack you, to blame you, to shame you, because they don't want to be open and vulnerable with you. They want you to believe that they're the best thing since sliced bread, and that you're the one with all the problems, you're the one with all the issues. They don't want you to recognise the fact that they lack empathy. They don't want you to understand that their focus is purely self-driven. They're prioritising their own needs and their own desires, and they're willing to exploit people. They're not interested in the cost their behaviour has to those around them because they lack the empathy to care. They will pretend they care just long enough to get their needs met by you, but they don't want you to recognise that they don't actually care about you, because they want to be perceived as superior and better than you. They do not want you to recognise their manipulation tactics. Narcissists have an arsenal of manipulation tactics to armour up and protect themselves from others. Their manipulation tactics are what they use to control people's emotions and control people's actions through their gaslighting, their projection, their triangulation, their silent treatment, their blame shifting, their changing of the goalpost, their intermittent reinforcement. They do not want you to recognise these behaviours, because once you've recognised these behaviours, they're no longer going to work on you. And then they've dropped their armour, and they're more vulnerable to not getting their own needs met. They're more vulnerable to their fragile self-esteem being shown. So they do not want you to recognise their manipulation tactics, which is often why they will resort to gaslighting you to make you think that you're the one with the problem and you're the one who's going crazy. They don't want you to know what they have done to you or to others, which is often why they find a way to excuse their behaviour, justify their behaviour, rationalise their behaviour, or blame somebody else for their behaviour, which is a double win for a narcissist, because by blaming somebody else, that person takes the fall for the narcissist's behaviour. So they don't want you to recognise that their victim was innocent and that they were the person who targeted their victim. They don't want you to recognise the things they've done to people, and they do not want you to recognise the things that they are capable of doing. They lack taking personal responsibility. Instead, they shift the blame. They do not want you to be able to recognise their exploitative nature, because they need you to hang on to their every word so that they can control your actions and your emotions. They don't want you to recognise that they fear abandonment. However, they will make sure that their worst fear of abandonment becomes your worst fear when they withhold attention, affection and support, when they fall silent on you, when they discard you and move straight in with somebody new. They want you to have their fears so that they can blame you of having all their issues. They want to provoke anger and resentment within you so that they can accuse you of being the bitter and the jealous one. When in actual fact, when someone is disloyal, when someone lies, when someone cheats, when somebody betrays somebody else's trust, that is their issue. They are the problem. Your emotional reactions to these things are perfectly normal emotional reactions that unfortunately we have to work on. However, a narcissist wants to convince you and those around you that your emotional reactions to their actions are the problem, to distract you and those around you from their actions. However, narcissistic people fear abandonment. Contrary to their self-confident image they try to sell those around them, Their fear of abandonment is their driving force to manipulate people, to isolate people, to financially abuse people so that they can remain in control, so that they can choose when they want to up and leave. And their need for adoration and attention, they don't want you to recognise that they require this from you, almost like we require oxygen, so that their fragile image isn't shown, so that they can keep their ego stroked. They manipulate to gain praise and recognition, and they thrive off this. They need this. However, they don't want you to recognise that they're dependent on you for that adoration and validation. They want you to believe that you are the one that's dependent on them.